How to take your coffee shop from 6 to 7 figures. I think coffee shops reach this point where they're growing, they have a good team, they have started to figure out what they want on their menu, and they're rolling, right? But there can be these limiting factors that inhibit them from taking that next step to greater revenue.
Yeah, we started a cafe back in 2019, opened our second one in 2023. With both of these cafes, on our journey to each of them making 7 figures, we've hit several points where we have said to each other, oh, maybe this is just the way it is. Maybe we have reached operational capacity. But whenever we actually put our heads together, we're able to kind of see through that and find ideas and creative ways for us to keep growing the business, keep selling more product, more transactions, more orders, higher average tickets. We just wanted to share with you guys some of those ideas and how you can kind of see through some false flags to what's actually going on and maybe learn from some of our mistakes.
Yeah, year one is about figuring out how to even run a coffee shop in the first place. And especially if this is your first business, you're in a new stage of life, like where does that fit in your life? How many baristas do you need? Like year one is just establishing the basic systems. And then you start to gain momentum and you're like, wow, we're really starting to become a part of the community. We're hitting some good revenue goals. But you're still using all of the systems that you put in place from the very beginning, right? And so a rework of those systems for us has allowed us to take that next step, right? I mean, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you guys when you think about these systems that we've improved over the years that have helped us bust through the ceiling?
Well, I mean, I think it's before even diving into what the specific systems are, I think it's admitting to yourself that there is still room to grow. And I mean, cat out of the bag. I feel like we have butted heads on that in times in the past.
Sure.
Care to comment? And that's saying that as you, as directly over the cafes, me as the money hungry, greedy, like just want more.
Like
guy.
has the latest Mac guy.
Yeah. Like I don't even use it. Just like open it up, squiggle the mouse around and close it kind of guy.
Yeah.
You are like, I'm in the trenches with the people. It's hard. What's your perspective on that? Sorry to call you out.
Hey, you're fine.
Make you get vulnerable.
Yeah, I might cry. That's fine. No, there's a lot of places you can go with that. While you were talking, I was like, there's probably a lot of people out there listening that are like, yeah, I wish I had time to work on my business. And I'd say maybe stop listening to this right now and maybe we can attach prior videos about getting self-organized, like creating rhythms in your own company so that you can dedicate time and energy to this.
Heck, even congrats to you if you are listening to this, you are working on your business.
You're taking a step right now.
Yeah.
Let's just take a minute for that. So I would say, there's probably, that's some of the tension right there is like, I'm a very operational on the floor guy. And maybe I get back to the C-suite corporate office with you guys and we're like, all right, we need to change this. We need to do this. And I'm like,
so me and Ross were thinking,
we're thinking this. And I'm like, guys, I'm already doing this, this, and this. So just getting that space of like, I want to grow. I want to make this thing more sustainable. So that's a big part of it, is just making space so you can work on your business. And then another part is thinking about the why. The point is not money. The point is sustainability. And the point is like growth for you and your team, right? I think there's going to be a lot of naysayers if we're talking about money and you're not in the place of like ownership where you're able to comprehend that or like able to experience that means a better work environment for your team. You know what I mean? There's so much there of like, okay, if we become this higher volume, bigger, more like, higher revenue company, that means that we can hire more people. We can give better jobs to those people and they can grow with this company. So I think just having a vision for your shop and what it can be is really key. And that's probably what we've worked on over the years, is trying to imagine what Valor can be in the cafes, in the roastery. And then from there, there's just that friction and ironing out of how do we get there together, because you're going to have people that have ideas and then you have to like work those out into reality. And that's just part of the ideation process.
Mm.
Those are some of my initial thoughts.
Well said. Well said.
So now that you're able to actually admit and believe and confess that you can and even should grow your business, and it's possible to, like, what's the first thing to look at? Like, a common misconception would be, I've put these systems in place in my coffee shop. I have this many baristas. I have this machine. I have all of these. You have this amount of seats, or this is where the line goes. Just all the things that make up the ingredients of your coffee shop. And you might think that, like, as we grow, all we have to do is just continue to use those same systems. And as our reach in the area grows, we'll just slowly get more and more busy over time, right? But, like, there's ways to catapult that, expedite that in a healthy way. And I think that starts with, like, getting clarity on where you're currently at through the data in your business, your numbers, right?
Yeah. And so where I would start with that is asking people, even if you're out there listening to this podcast and you're like, oh, I look at my numbers and we're growing year over year. My first question would be, are you actually growing? Because there are some indicators that might appear as growth, but aren't actually growth. If you raised your prices last year by 20%, let's just say you raise your prices by 50%. Okay.
Nice.
But you're not accounting for, and you look at your year over year metrics and you're like, oh, we grew 20%. You raised your prices by 50%. Of course you grew like some amount.
You lost customers.
But maybe you lost customers. Yeah. So I would say you want to take a step back and look at the numbers that actually matter when you're talking about, item sales growth. And then, so the first one that comes to mind for me, and just admittedly, we have done a poor job of tracking in our own cafes because we are so attention divided. Very, month to month, year over year growth. That's one of our big goals this year, is to really hone in on those things so that we can make more on the fly decisions.
Roll back podcast footage from last year, us saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, gotta keep at it, baby.
That's right.
Gotta keep at it.
Yep.
Hey, well, last year it was the goal to think about it.
Right.
This year is the goal to do it.
Consider thinking about it.
Things take time, Ross.
But yeah, so the metrics that come to mind are definitely, I would say, the first one that comes to mind is number of transactions. How many number of transactions did you do this year versus last year? If you are the guy or gal out there who looked at the numbers and you said, oh, I grew 20%, go back and look and see what your year over year transaction growth was, because it might be 1%. It might be negative 5%. And that is the number of, talking about your operational ceiling, how many people you can get into the door. That's the number that we're talking about growing here. So there's a transaction number, there's the item sales number, and then the number of items per transaction number, and then the average transaction number. So these numbers all together can give us a better picture of, how many people came in, how many people bought more than one product, maybe walked away with one of your shirts or a food item or a box of, or bag of coffee. And then, and so once you reference those, you can set goals to say, I want to take my average ticket price from $13 to $16 by selling more coffee. So maybe I should do this to sell more coffee. There's all these numbers. And I guess the whole point here is, don't go off of vibes of, like either like, oh, things are way too busy, or like, oh yeah, it feels like it's growing. Get some hard data in if you want to, make your business as viable as possible.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ground to cover when you're maybe experiencing like, oh, it feels busy, It's like, well, maybe you really need to challenge your systems and your operational flow, as far as like, maybe if your goal is, I would want to see more transactions year over year, if that's your big metric, and you're already a busy space, because that's something we talked about a lot this past year, was like, yes, there are big lines, there are people in those lines. So for us, our mindset isn't as much like, how do we get people in the door, but how do we get people in and out, or just like beverage in hand faster, so that they know, okay, if I go to Valor, yes, there might be a line, but I know they'll crush it. I had this revelation this morning, actually. I was taking off my shoe.
Okay.
And I've seen my
left or right foot?
Left. I've also
I
seen.
can picture it.
Also, you could also think about a child taking off their shoe. I'm in a similar situation. I apply.
Well, when my son takes off his shoe, he does this.
Okay, this is good. This is good. Think about this.
Does it still work?
Maybe it still works, but you're applying a lot of extra time and energy because you're not applying your time and energy well. So I was trying to take off my shoe and I was pulling at it like at a really weird spot. And then I took my finger through the little hook on the back and just like with 10% of that energy, slipped it right off. And I was like, you know what? That kind of makes me think about the cafes. If I'm doing something that's like really taxing and I'm like running around, but I'm like just doubling back on my path, I'm like not efficiently and just like smoothly operating, I may feel like I'm busting my butt, but maybe I just took care of like 2 people when I could have taken care of 10. Mm-hmm. So there's just something to getting, and I think a great job that we did this year was rallying the team into it and being like, how could this flow better? How could we crush this better? Yeah. Because we talk about it a lot with servant leadership, but trying to recognize like our pit crew, our people on the field, they have so much more context for the cafes than we do. So it's like, what are we thinking, guys? Like, how could this be better? How can we improve in this area? And then I think if you just give that the focus that it deserves, you'll see transactions just go up like crazy.
10x.
They're gonna 10x. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then to build on that question, or to build on that thought, you can ask the question, what are the things that you can, if I told you that there was something that you could do that would cost 10% of the effort for 100% of the same reward, like you taking off your shoe, you're always going to be like, yes, sign me up. How much does it cost? I'll pay it. Because why wouldn't you? So if you're not, looking at your systems and trying to address them and chase after those things, challenge the status quo of what you're doing rather than just living in a rut, then you're always going to be stuck in the same spot.
In our show prep this week, that was one of the things I was thinking about, what you just said, Ethan, of as the business owner and leader, if you want to take your cafe from 6 to 7 figures, then you have to be in touch with the operation.
Right.
And you, like you just said, is so gold, activating your team and including them in the process. And I feel like that's just one of the, we'll talk about this in a second, but one of the most classic gripes you hear in the food service industry in general from like people on the front lines.
New corporate policy.
Sure, that, or like, we're understaffed. Like we need more people here. Like, oh, today was so hard, we're understaffed, And as the business owner, you have to be able to be close enough to the operation and in the operation enough to see if that's true or not. Are we really understaffed, or is our espresso machine performing at 70% of what it should be? We need to service it. Just these specific things. It's easy for, if someone's on your team and they're a barista at your shop, their world is just smaller than your world. Like their world is like the espresso machine and the grinder and the guests that come in and the iPad and the pastries and all these things. But like they need an outsider perspective, not as like a greater than thou type approach, but like an outsider perspective that has enough context, but also is separated from the operation enough to where they can bring a fresh perspective and talk about some of these things.
Yeah. Well, we talk about empathy as a business mindset a lot. And so there's something to just putting yourself in the vulnerable situation of, what is it like to go through my coffee shop? What are the bottlenecks? What is the guest experiencing? And so that can be hard for someone like me that's operating the coffee shop to hear that feedback. It's weird. I kind of like the positive feedback more.
Yeah. I noticed that.
I'm quirky like that. But
man, different.
Yeah, you gotta be like, okay, well, from this point in the line, maybe the line took too long, or my drink was wrong, or I ordered and I didn't know where to go, and it just kind of felt awkward.
Yeah.
It's like, all those things just kind of slow down and make your experience less than, you know?
Mhm.
And I think what's so key is for the leaders of the coffee shop, and we've talked about this a little bit, but getting comfortable with the data and knowing that it also is connected to hospitality and experience, right? Because what you're saying with like someone on the floor, like a barista or pit crew, maybe they should have awareness, but I don't think they need to be like transaction data, like metric. There's definitely something good to that, but they just need to be operating in a really well organized system where they can thrive. And then we are like partnering with them by looking at how it's going, you know?
Exactly.
And then talking with our leaders and be like, okay, how can we make it even better?
It's a great way to wrap up our first point of referencing the data, not just the vibe of the shop. Like, you know, let's say you have a year of business, 2025, and you're reviewing the numbers and you're like, okay, I want to break from 6 to 7 figures. Like once you look at that data, you're looking at transaction total, you're looking at how many units sold of certain items. Like, what do you do with that? You know, like what you were just saying, you don't need to go up to your staff and say, all right, guys, biggest focus for the week this week is like I want you to look at the amount of transactions that are coming through the door every hour and just review those and let that influence your behavior in some way. Like, and so my question to you guys is like, what would you do? What are we doing? You know, I guess kind of what the rest of this podcast is about. When you look at those numbers and you're like, okay, I want to take it to the next level. What is helpful to communicate to the team of baristas after reviewing the numbers?
Yeah. So just take our Alpharetta Cafe, for example. Looking at this past year, we were just over $1 million. And
you're saying we went from 6 to 7 figures?
We went from 6 to 7 figures. Yeah. So we went from 6 to 7 figures by, I would say what you were saying, the real like rallying of the troops, the conversations about how, you know, we're not just turning people just to turn people in and out of the door, but the more people we get to touch, the more we uplift people, the more we perform our mission. We also had these other conversations of just general efficiency. And I think that is our, you know, big first way to really make a difference is how can your operation be more efficient? And when you look at that cafe, I don't think maybe efficient in space is what you would call it. But beyond that, I don't know if many people would have looked at the cafe on day one and been like, oh yeah, this cafe is going to be nuts. It's going to be one of the busiest cafes in the state
ever made.
But I do think that all started by us, the three of us really being floated by our salaries on that cafe and wanting to grow our business, our roasting business, our future cafes out of that, being like, how can we get the most out of this, you know, golden goose basically that we have? Great location, great rent. And then, you know, so then it was just constant conversation after conversation after conversation. The first thing that we really did that comes to mind is cold brew and kegging products.
Yep.
And I would say that was kind of like a turning point of our company.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it was a big investment to do that, right? Because first of all,
time and energy.
We didn't do cold brew before we started kegging it, right?
Japanese iced coffee,
right? So, you know, we had this issue of our production time was slower than our transaction time at the register. That's basically the crux of it, right? Like to make an iced oat milk lavender vanilla latte that's not a complex drink, but we had the opportunity to batch drinks basically.
Sure.
Batch cold brew. So it started with cold brew, nitro cold brew, and nitro oat milk lavender vanilla latte. And we also played with different stuff. Like we did a oat matcha for a while, but it kept spoiling. And there was a lot of trials and tribulations along the way learning this, and it was a big upfront investment.
Yeah, I think not only having drinks that are quicker, but having more places in your bar where drinks are created is the real key, you know? Like the people on the espresso bar can keep ripping, and then you can have people on that back bar ripping other drinks.
That's a great point.
And so, you know, maybe a 4 or 5 drink or a 6 or 7 drink order could go out a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Because there's just multiple touch points.
Well said. Well said. I mean, how much was that? Like
$10,000.
Yeah.
We needed we didn't need, but we needed a bigger fridge with a kegerator like tap.
Yep.
And we see previous episodes were very burned by lower brands. And so we went with like a $6,000 probably beverage air.
Probably about like 10 kegs.
Yeah.
Which was not enough.
And it holds up. It holds up really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's still there.
Cold brewer. We did a Cold Brew Avenue brand. Well, at first we did some crazy methods. You guys remember that?
Oh my gosh, the felt filter
The
thing?
Java sock? No, it wasn't called the
Coffee
Java
sock.
Coffee sock.
Java
Ugh,
sock.
That was a dark time. But
You'd hang it from the ceiling.
dude, that's the kind of stuff I love having a freaking YouTube channel and podcast of like, we could help someone seriously so much.
Every way we've done cold brew.
Like the amount of hours that I put in trying to figure out how to do, maybe I'm just dumb, but I have a feeling that that's not the case. Okay. I have a feeling
Your Maserati outside would say differently, brother.
It's a Ford Expedition, but looking at it right
Eddie
now,
Bauer.
looking good. The amount of time I spent like wringing that coffee sock and then like making our employees do that. What, like, if I could just
As
help
punishment?
if I could just help one person listening, maybe a future episode of like our entire cold brew journey explained, you know, that video would not perform well. But
Hey,
if I could help,
it's not about the clicks on
if
that.
I could
all right?
help one person avoid all of that, then that's why I love doing this. That's why I'm a YouTuber.
Yes, you
Why
are.
do I keep kissing my hand?
Yeah. So that was huge for us. That, you know, and it all comes back to this conversation that I feel like we always talk about. It's not about it. Whenever you free up something, you free up space for it to be filled by something else.
Ooh.
So-
That's a good theme.
So that, I think that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about here, and that is efficiency. So it's that our most popular drink was an iced lavender vanilla latte, largely, and lots of the time with oat milk.
Enough of them were oat milk.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we were like, what if this drink didn't have to touch our espresso machine?
Mhm.
And that was kind of the entire basis of why we did it. And so now that drink doesn't touch our espresso machine. And that is kind of thematic for the rest of what we're going to be talking about.
Dude, Nitro Oat Lav merch coming soon.
Maybe. Hey, speaking of new merch,
Hey, baby.
Oh,
What are those numbers, bro?
that's a 5531. And that is the mailbox number of our second location in Dunwoody. We have a 44T that we're re-releasing, which is our first location, 44 Milton Avenue. So we had to give Dunwoody some love too.
whenever you put something out like that, are you kind of like afraid that it has some sort of meaning that you've never read about?
And someone's going to come up and slap you.
They're going to be like, dude, are you serious right now?
I think that would actually kind of help. You know what I'm saying? So going from there, getting some of these, like if we're just talking about efficiency, getting more for less or moving faster. I mean, are there any silly menu items that you can nix that aren't actually contributing to your revenue in a meaningful way,
I've got one.
but like are easy to take off? And then, you know, maybe somebody really special, one of your regulars orders that thing, and you might have to break the news to them like, hey, sorry, Angela.
Ooh.
Sorry, Tim. We don't have the, you know,
Bucatini.
hazelnut.
Stop doing pasta.
We're not serving pasta anymore, guys. Okay. And then you have that one. Anyways, you get the point.
Yeah. I've got one.
What is it?
Shocker. Pour overs.
Yeah. Pour overs.
We're the pour over. We're drinking a pour over right now.
I know.
How
I
could you
love
say- how could you say that?
drinking pour overs at HQ.
I love pour
It's
over.
amazing. I know whenever I'm here, like I was talking to someone the other day and they were like, oh yeah, did you pull this shot from or like, do you want some beans from the hopper? And I was like, I don't use the hopper at HQ. I use the single dose grinder. I'm not trying to churn out drinks here.
Dang.
My philosophy at, the cafe is completely different, but pour overs are likely subpar product with a lot of time investment for not that much money. So finding a different way to handle that is huge. You are going to have to deal, if you have had these products for a while, with breaking the news to that guest. So maybe you could consider an equipment upgrade to something that will remedy them with, a different option. Automated pour overs. Never had any luck with them. I'm going to be honest.
We're 0 for 2 right now.
Good luck. But that is an option. Get a decent and pull filter 3.0.
Just do it.
Yeah. It's easy.
It's honestly probably more cost effective, darn it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I bought that for $2,800 on Facebook Marketplace. And that is a lot cheaper than the Seraphims that we purchased for Dunwoody.
Yeah.
And that didn't work.
Sorry.
What other items come to mind? Like I was thinking of our foray into high-end toasts.
Sure.
Just menu items that actually slow things down and don't make that much revenue, which goes back to the point of when you take something away, it makes room for your bread and butter.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I'm like, hey, see you next year when we talk about food again. Cause I feel like we're on a really reimagining what could and should be. Because we've really just gone for like simplify.
Yeah.
And anytime we've taken a step into like, all right, we're going to build this thing when someone orders it, hasn't worked. But there's other factors at play. Visibility, just sticking with it, darn it. But yeah, we try to like build toast, do like random sandwiches, and that wasn't our thing. People just knew us as coffee and pastry. So we kept doing it.
Yeah.
But see us next year. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. And then the next year we'll be back to coffee and pastry.
Well, this year we're going to be thinking about it. And then the next year we're doing pasta.
Perfect.
We're bringing pasta back.
Perfect. The other things beyond, menu items, we call that running an 80-20 analysis.
Come on.
We kind of coined that term.
Yeah. We created 80-20.
Yeah.
No, the 80-20 method is you can be applied to a lot of things. Yeah. 80% of your problems come from 20% of your XYZ
sources. Yeah.
80% of your revenue come from 20% of your sources.
Yeah, your products you're selling.
Yeah.
I eat lattes.
So if you really look at your menu and you decide to simplify, that would be, very much in the way of efficiency. But I'm saying all this and I don't know crap about what's going on behind the cafe.
That's right.
Behind the bar at the cafe. So, that is where it gets really important to have a direct line of communication with the people who are actually performing the work.
Oh yeah.
Because do I really know what's efficient and non efficient? Sometimes I'll be in the cafe and someone will be like, yeah, we've just got this scale and it's broken. So it just makes things really hard. And I'm just like, okay, we can get a new scale. But that shows me that there's not a good enough line of communication, ways to get things,
figured out,
action taken care of immediately to get things back into efficient land.
Well, yeah. And not building off that example, but speaking separately, I mean, I hate to get soft, but that's just trust too. You may have someone in that position, but you got to have a relationship with your person, your direct report, your manager, your head coach, where you can feel like you can bring up like, hey, I don't think this is like going that well, Because I think people are full of good ideas. We just have to like make a space for them to share it. That's why I think one of the things we've just leaned into more and more over the years was these all staffs that we do. Is now it's kind of like half the time is all together. And then we're like, all right, let's just go get with our tribes and make lists and talk about what's going well, what's not, how we can get after it. But yeah, if you're a leader, think about how much trust you have with your team and how you can build that.
On the subject of staffing, it can be easy to think as a business owner, if I add another barista to a bar shift, it's going to directly eat into my bottom line. It's that simple, right? But what if it could directly influence in a good way your top line revenue and even take you over that faded six figure to seven figure
Jump.
chasm
Gap.
Yeah, that I think is the deepest feedback loop you can fall into. If I add more people, it's going to cost me more money and maybe not make me more money. So I'm never going to add more people. Then you have reached your ceiling. The day you become completely unwilling to add any more staffing is the day that you have set a max cap on the amount of top line that you can make.
But Riley, shouldn't you be focused on saving money?
Ooh, what would you rather do? Make a lot more money or save a little bit of money?
Let me think about it.
The most obvious way to drive this point home is something we've talked about before on the podcast of coffee shops that are really low in that six-figure range, for a yearly revenue, and they're super slow, right? And they have one person behind the bar and
Doing their college homework.
they're doing, scrolling Reddit, looking at God knows what. Just kidding.
Don't even want to think about
Don't
what
even
they're
wanna
looking
think
at.
about what goes on in that place. Just kidding. We love Reddit. We're pro Reddit. Okay.
I'm not a part of that statement.
You're in this awkward balance of I can only pay one person $12 an hour to be behind the bar. And if I add another barista, it's not going to immediately just magically make guests appear in my space, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what if the reason why there's not guests in your space is because you have one barista and they're not getting the service that they think they need to get?
And it's like when there is a rush in the rare occasion, it's out the door and it takes forever. And then every single person there has a bad experience and doesn't come back.
So we've talked about that example before, but like we've been more on the other end of the spectrum, just vis-a-vis staffing. On a Saturday, we've played with 5 people behind the bar. We've played with 6 people behind the bar. Have we done that jump from 6 to 7 or no? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We've done that jump.
We've tried 7 people on shift in a sub 700 square foot space before. That's what you're telling me?
A person
yet?
per 100 square feet.
Right.
And that's a classic metric.
Yeah.
All right.
You heard of 80-20. What about that one?
That's just straight from Ritz-Carlton.
So now we're going to start having 22 people in Dunwoody
Yeah.
for every 100 square foot.
Exactly. So, more people doesn't always equal more revenue, obviously. And we've taken it I feel like the main theme of our podcast, one of the main themes in the last 2 years is like, actually, you should have less people behind the bar and that each individual person should bring more value with their skill set and their speed, thereby
We never said that.
thereby increasing tips for each person and incentive for them. And also you can pay them more per barista because there's just less of them. It's better to pay 3 baristas $14 an hour than it is 4 baristas $10 an hour kind of mentality.
Yeah. Well, life's a dance you learn as you go.
It's a classic both and, Ross.
And
Riley, go
I
ahead.
think that thank you, Ethan. I think we you gotta trim down. We were in the cut cycle, okay?
Yeah.
We were in the cut mesocycle. And we cut down and we said, okay, let's start building up some A players. And now we're saying, what if we had more A players?
Raising the bar, brother.
That's right.
Dude,
so now
You're being silly, but it's so true.
I know.
Yeah, it's fire.
You're not lying.
I'm not lying. And now we're in the bulk phase, baby.
But with
Like,
more A players.
Or bulking with-
38. It's a dirty bulk, like 3,800 calories. Now it's a lean bulk for sure.
Get them off of this. Take us somewhere.
No, take us home, man. We're talking a lot about efficiency, and we love talking about that.
Yeah, my entire point is just that you are making a really good point that I would rather have 4 people who were killers than 7 people who were like part of the way in it, So I would rather have 7 killers than 4 killers, because 7 killers it's probably going to do outsized gains to the amount of business that you're able to do.
And it pushes the owner to model, right? And to grow. What do I do with my 7 killers? I got to feed them.
Yep.
Killers are hungry, Ross.
They're always bulking.
So go get you 6, 7 killers.
Get you 6, 7 killers because and that's like we didn't get to it, but like, we cut, but then it's like, oh crap. What if we get a second, point of sale?
Yeah.
What if we do the third point?
What are you looking at?
Well, I mean, there's nothing over there, man. There's definitely not the show notes.
That's where I think. I look that way.
You're over the right shoulder.
But here, let me move us on.
Yeah. Well, can I ask one more question on the whole killers point?
Yeah, please. I'm an expert on that.
Brandon Flowers. Yeah, he works here. Get used to it.
How do you make killers? It's easy to.
Ross.
That's just a separate podcast.
No, I mean, come on. I mean, we can kind of touch on it, guys. I mean,
how to make a killer.
It's
our Netflix series.
The making of a killer. If you, I just think so many people are in that place where they look at their team. Let's say they have like 7 people. Let's say they have like
6 or 7.
This is the most aged podcast.
Oh gosh.
But we can just say that we recorded this 6 months ago.
Yeah. Like cutting edge.
Dom's laughing over there, so it just makes it even more difficult. Let's say you have 7 Breeses on your team, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And like realistically, you've got 2 of them, maybe 3 of them that are like really good at everything behind the bar.
Yep.
They're good at taking orders, drinks, they're fast, they're good at latte art, whatever. How do you go from just 2 or 3 to like your whole team are killers?
Okay, what's the temperament of your other team? Do you like them? Are you like,
I mean,
I got to get these people out of here
after work together?
They're good people. They're just under trained. Maybe some of them are just a little bit slow. You know how some people are a little slow?
Sure.
Yeah.
Not like in that way, but like in like behind the bar at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think training as a point is one thing. And then I think you have to look at your A players and be like, how long do I want these people to stay here? And then you have to establish a system that's going to let them stay there for longer. And that doesn't necessarily mean promotion. It means, do you have upward mobility for pay? Do you have a way for them to be able to be in that position for a while? And then realistically, if you take care of that on that end, the people who are not the A players are going to churn out. And then you can replace them with other people who are A players similar to the people that you have. So I would say that's method 1. And then method 2, yeah, I mean, in terms of training, what do you think you do to take those people who might be slow behind the bar or not quite on the level of the other people?
Oh, man. I think people are good and they just need something to get after,
Yep.
So if you're the leader, you got to give them something to follow. You got to have a vision, a mission, a challenge, a goal, a training, an opportunity,
Can we speak Raleigh right now? Raleigh.
That's all we
Who's
do.
Raleigh?
That's me.
That's your name,
What's
big
up,
dog.
Raleigh?
I'm speaking Raleigh right now.
Okay, I'll say something.
Say it.
You guys suck.
I think it kind of. I'm tired of this crap. I think hires who are older, or sometimes married, or sometimes kids,
Yeah.
often perform better. There, I said it.
Well, they have more responsibility.
And it's because they are hungry for growth, and I think that is kind of a big marquee trait of people. They want to take care of their family. They want to be the best at their craft.
Well, it makes sense. They're more incentivized by money.
Yeah.
Than someone who is living with their parents.
Yeah. And I think I've said it on this podcast before. I feel like all the professions out there, especially like the corporate world, they're like, man, I wish that all of our employees weren't just money hungry. And I've had the thought in this company, man, I wish that people were just like a little more driven by a duality between passion for what they're doing, but also like, I'm trying to get after it. I'm trying to be a killer.
Well, I think, dude, you just kind of said it earlier, is that most places don't create opportunities.
Exactly.
If you feed the passion, if you get educated, if you get after it, if you pin your ears back, you're going to get rewarded monetarily. And a huge systemic issue with that is your classic manager problem of that all the extra money goes to a manager. And it's like, okay, manager or owner, manager, everybody else. It's like, all right, well, that manager is going to be here. So I just need to bide my time here and find that next thing. I used to talk about that a lot, but the minimum standard model, you know, everybody, if you're not pushing, you're just finding your line of how do I not get fired at this job? I did that. I played that game.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I just know that I need to kind of get there on time and like be nice and that's it. But if I have a leader that's like, yo, you want to be here and you want to make more money and you want to get after it, here, do this.
Yeah.
Watch this. Try this.
On that note of firing people, just really quickly.
I didn't say anything about firing people.
You did it?
That's all he heard.
Now
you have to say it.
Yeah, what are you going to say?
Did you actually not say anything about firing people?
Nah, dude.
Just more like paying them more.
Just go there.
Just go there.
Regardless, on the opposite note of paying people more, fire people faster. Just plain and simple. The reason that we haven't fired people faster in the past is because we've been
babies,
passive about it. And I think that I can definitively say that I've never regretted firing someone in this company.
What's an example of a behavior that someone would do that would make them get fired faster?
Shutting down at feedback and then lashing out at coworkers, making people feel uncomfortable. That's kind of like a insta.
Like
and
inappropriate remarks or something like that. Yeah.
And then
Ethan does
repeat underperforming behavior that you ask for correction, maybe train correction, and it doesn't get corrected.
So it's not that they are underskilled or underperforming at their job. It's that they are not showing a trajectory and hunger for growth.
Maybe both.
And maybe both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what you said is key is it's not.
If you're constantly moving the goalposts in a good way, as an organization who's trying to grow more and more and more, if someone isn't striving to grow, then they are underperforming.
Sure.
Well, you said
Ross.
Passive.
Thank you. Sorry.
You know, it's like
Looking at you.
The reality is if you're not firing people, like that really negatively affects the team. If we're talking about how do we get killers,
Yeah.
it's a big part of that is that we like made the standard known. Not saying that we just went out there and
Made an example of someone.
you're done.
Yeah.
But even when we talk about firing, it needs to be an active process in that like everybody knows what we're on the same page. We are talking about this a lot.
Yeah.
So that's if you're doing it slowly, it's probably because you're doing it passively and you're just like, oh, I don't want to talk to this person again about this thing. But it's like, you need to. They need to hear it. You need to hear it. And it stinks if they don't get the chance to like grow with you. But like hopefully they're able to learn that lesson, you know, and apply it at another place.
That is one of my biggest areas I've wanted to grow this year compared to last year. Like I think of the times where I don't even know how to have a good example, but just like not being passive about anything or like scared of any confrontation or whatever.
Sure.
Just like, you know, always thinking back to like, what is the worst thing that could happen in this situation? Because they could have a gun and they could shoot me. Okay. That's technically the worst thing. But then, you know,
Hey.
we can go there. But I think that I have done that for so long in both business in terms of making people feel comfortable. And I'm just tired of making people just like prioritizing comfort. I think it's really lame.
But I think what a huge part of that comes down to is like, what is your heart for that person and your company?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think after being in our 10th year, I just know to my core, like I only want to operate in like honest, good work and business. And I want people to be a part of that. And so like, if we're going to talk about something, it's not like, I just didn't like that you did that.
Oh yeah.
No, that's not my preference. But it's like, hey, we're just trying to like grow. And so the worst case is like you get mad about something that's like, I honestly, in my heart, feel convicted that that is what we need to, where we need to be. And I just got to communicate it. You know, it's the hard part about being the old bossaroni.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not the best friend-aroni.
Yeah.
But
Well, you don't have to do it in front of people.
Unless you're, I got nothing.
And yeah,
Early and often.
I totally agree. If you didn't care for that person, you would just kick them to the curb and find another like plug and play person.
Yeah, maybe the next tier of not caring for them is not telling them.
Oh yeah,
and keeping them on, but you're not letting them grow with your company.
And then beyond that, I mean, if we can go here too, if you have had the same repeat behavior from someone and you haven't seen change, maybe the best thing you can do for them is give them a little kick in the ass by letting them go. Wow. And it sucks, but
it does.
It's a thing.
Well, to do any of that, you as a leader have to have a clear vision for what you're going for. And to be able to have that, you have to be passionately inspired in what you're doing. Like you have, if we want to have the top 1% of coffee in the world and top 1% of hospitality, then we have to like experience that and be inspired by that and have a clear vision of like, this is the standard, and be able to call people towards that. Which brings us to our third point of adding mobile ordering to how to take your cafe to the next level, break through that ceiling, right? No, that last point was so good. I mean, we were talking about efficiency and how, you can do this or do that or add equipment or add menu items or have another staff member or whatever. But really, culture eats strategy for breakfast, boys. You ever heard that one?
Oh, yeah.
So if you're not connecting with your team and you don't have a clear vision and you're not holding people to that standard and leading by example, then it all falls apart and none of it works.
So good.
Yeah. Moving into that next point.
Yeah.
Back to what we were saying, kind of same principle as moving drinks from your espresso machine to kegging. What if I told you that you could serve people drinks and they never clog up your line? That's what I said to Ethan. And he said, okay, Riley, we'll finally do it. We'll finally do mobile ordering. Right?
Yeah. Well, a big part of how it happened.
I think we've joked on this program before, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
About
ad nauseum.
this.
Comment below if you remember that.
Well, the big change was, we got a lot of killers in Dunwoody that are hungry and they want to get fed.
They say, let's eat.
Well, and they imagine if you're a barista at a coffee shop, okay? Are you there?
Okay. Yeah, I think I can put myself in
And the
shoes.
big boss man tells you, hey, we're going to add mobile ordering. No. And you're like, oh, that means I have to work harder, basically.
Right.
Like, what if it means I'm in the weeds all the time? What if? It's like, yeah, there might be some real concerns there, and those need to be thought through and develop plans and systems for. But killers are going to hear that and be like, wow, one, I'm going to be able to make more money because there's tips involved with mobile ordering. But two, like, I'm going to get to grow as a coffee professional and like continue to take the next step in my journey as a professional. So just like to your point, there were probably times where our team wasn't ready for something like that. And
absolutely,
they are now.
That's right.
And obviously, if you're trying to increase your revenue, if you are increasing the points of sale, I mean, even beyond mobile ordering, what about, or like before we get into that, like increased points of sale in your cafe?
Sure.
I've been thinking about that in Alpharetta this entire time we've been talking. I can't stop thinking about it.
That's why you've been so checked out?
Yeah.
This whole time?
I've been so checked out this far.
Yeah.
Barely said anything.
talked.
Well, we have some serious space restrictions in our first cafe, as we've said in this program.
That sounds like you're trying to set a ceiling on that space.
But this guy, dude.
We're not thinking vertically.
I know. Yeah. You guys are like this.
I'm trying to be vertically integrated.
I'm saying we hang someone from the ceiling.
Oh,
from their feet.
Yeah. So they're taking orders from the ceiling.
Yeah.
That's second surge.
Second surge. You guys want to know something funny?
Nah.
Nope.
Can I tell you something really quick?
Pass.
We both said no.
In the
Let's get it moving.
Alpharetta Cafe, we have our iPad that stop that stays stationary at the register, right?
Yeah.
But then we have a handheld, smaller, square.
Yeah. What if we had 2 handhelds?
No, but sure.
Come on.
So who was it? I forget who it was.
That's so our dynamic. You're like more, and I'm like, oh.
What if we had 0 registers? No
Yeah,
points of
dude,
sale.
What
just
if we
no
closed?
registers?
What if we did a field trip? What if we did? Just kidding. Anyways, someone was the second person in line. Okay, go with me.
Yep.
Second person in line.
Yep.
And there was probably 6 people behind them.
You sure it was 6?
Yes. There's like 6 people behind him, right? So someone
So there's
takes
7 total people in line.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
There's
There was
technically
8.
Okay.
There was 8
Yeah, yeah.
because there was him and then there was the
And then
person
7,
in
8,
front of them.
9.
So you guys need to help me lock in right now. Stop making jokes, okay?
No one's listening to the end of this podcast. You're good.
Okay, you're right. Someone takes the handheld register and goes to the third person in line, right? So like he's the second person, goes to the person after. Then they take.
This is a real thing?
Someone told me this happened. Yes,
Okay.
and
So you weren't there.
no,
Okay.
they take person 3 through 7's order, and by the time that this guy who was second in line got to the register, they had already taken all of those orders behind him, and he was like, he felt slighted.
I would too.
Because and it makes sense of like, why didn't you take my order? I was next in line.
Well, the perception falls directly on why is that person so fast at taking orders and the person at the register is so slow in taking orders, even if that isn't the full story. That is the perception.
Of course. I just thought that was interesting. And
What a think piece.
I don't know, like I don't think we have like an exact policy of like, if you're taking second surge out, the second tablet, you always go to the second person because it's kind of crowded there a little bit. This isn't really good radio, but it just made me think of that.
All right. What if we blew out the front bar
Done.
and then we had 2 like podiums
Yep.
of sorts?
Yeah.
This is not a bad idea. It would kind of make everything a little more free flow,
A little more modular.
a little more modular. And then people are more like standing like next to the podiums and they're like, what can I get for you?
Hey, how are you? Well, everyone has to like ask a conversational question first, like, "Hey, how are you?"
Like,
and then you can do the order.
Do one dance move and then you can order.
Yeah. But, just the point of increase your intake of orders by adding more points of sale in the cafe, but also mobile ordering adds even more to that. And when we've set up this mobile ordering situation, what have been some of the main concerns going into that as it relates to our guest experience or, guest experience or how employees are operating?
I think when anyone thinks about mobile ordering, they think about that scene in The Bear where they set up mobile ordering.
This is what you think about, right?
Yeah, and I'm everybody. I'm the common man. Okay.
You just think about the worst depiction of mobile ordering ever.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's where you go. You got to think. You got to think about worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Of tickets just flooding in. You're already busy. I also think about Chipotle during the pandemic where they didn't make their second like mobile order bar. So they only had the one bar, and then there was a bunch of people in line and then a bunch of people waiting in the mobile ordering area. And then like everybody's really mad.
Yeah.
I
And
think
you're just standing there like,
and then I'm just
No
like,
one's having a good time.
and I'm just like, what's
You're
going
like,
on? So I think people think like that, and
Yeah.
what's
Comment below if you think like
comment
that.
below if you're like me. I don't know if you were going to say this, but what's nice is you can ramp up, there's just features to mobile ordering. You can build it into your flow a lot smoother than this like, oh, everybody's just going to start skipping the line. They're going to start doing mobile ordering in line and just go wait over there.
Right.
This idea of like, I can't see the people that are ordering, so it's all just going to come in and then everybody's going to get mad. What we do is a hospitality experience. And so this is just a different type of hospitality experience. of sorts, you know? But I think the older we get and maybe we see our wives with children and the realities like that they can't like go to a coffee shop the same way.
Yeah.
And that there's a lot of people like that kind of have to be a little bit more like, okay, I can time this, but I need to time it right. We're like, oh yeah, people probably could really benefit from something like this.
That is hospitality.
And that's kind of hospitality work. We're meeting the needs of a type of person versus probably when I was a youngster with much more time on my hands. I'm like, oh, anybody should just go be able to pull up to a coffee shop and stand in a line for 30 minutes. You should be able
to slow down your life, you know?
Yeah. Hit the Comer button, you know what I mean?
I was thinking about that mobile ordering when I'm like on my way to church. Well, that sounds pretty nice.
Sounds kind of fire.
Sure. So I think that's a really good positive take on it, is that you're allowing your mission, your hospitality company to reach more people.
Yeah.
In a different way. It is different. You just walk in and get your drink.
Another big concern, rightfully so, with mobile ordering is drink quality. You know, let's say you have, let's say a cortado, right? A cortado is equal parts espresso and steamed milk, listeners. Okay. Brain blast. It's a small drink and it loses temperature quickly because it's smaller, right? Take that, or take like a pour over if you do brew pour overs. Or maybe you have a seasonal menu that has a fancy garnish on it or something like that. Is that really going to translate in terms of quality whenever it's just sitting there waiting for someone to pick it up? And the answer is probably not. It's probably not going to be good. So what we have done in our beta testing of, I should just say Ethan testing of
hey. Oh wait, no, dude, what?
Of mobile ordering is we've just had a limited menu to some degree. Like we don't offer any seasonal drinks. We don't offer any of our by the cup coffees. We don't offer all of our food. We offer most of it. But that's another thing you can do, is just have a limited menu for your mobile ordering. And I think what I love about mobile ordering is like it builds trust with the guests that have previously come to your shop and it took too long and they were late for something because your experience took too long. You have the opportunity to win that person back by giving them a more predictable pickup time for their drink. Back to the point of like, when you say yes to something, it makes room for something else. It takes people out of your line that would have been in the line and just puts them in a different digital line with an assigned pickup time that is like predictable. And so that allows for more new guests to join that line in a shorter line overall.
Yeah, I think the thing that we've been arguing about relentlessly is, what's that critical mass, similar to the Chipotle model, where maybe you are doing so much big money business that you can create like a separate production line for mobile ordering. Because I think that's just buku bucks for your coffee shop, and it lets lets the coffee shop be the coffee shop and lets the service bar be the service bar.
I think you got to start thinking in different terms, in like ad terms.
Let's go
really go
Ghost Cafe.
To go yickety with that, the Ghost Cafe. Yeah. It's like how like Mr. Beast has like a burger restaurant or some crap,
Yes.
And it's just like other restaurants.
It's just
but how do you do that for coffee? I'm just kidding.
Right.
But in all seriousness, if you run ads on mobile ordering, you likely will end up with a customer base who mobile orders your product and has never like come into your cafe to vibe. And that's awesome because that's just a different person you get to reach with your awesome product.
Guys, I know that we already went for it, but totally rebrand mobile ordering, different company, totally different menu, totally different drinks. Frappuccinos.
Valor can serve a Frappuccino.
And energy drinks.
Well, no, not like that. But go with that concept. Like it was just like, it was like Valor alt. We just totally did something else.
Different brand.
But they still pick it up at Valor?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do about that though?
Well, what do the Mr. Beast people do?
Yeah, Riley.
I think it's through like Grubhub. It's like delivered to you.
It's from a ghost kitchen.
Let me call him.
Yo, Beast.
Yo, Beastie.
What's cracking, Beastie?
Well, that was Valor's take on how to go from 6 to 7 figures in your coffee shop.
We always tell you guys our numbers, so we'll report back next year.
Yeah, this was really just our playbook for this
I don't know
year.
if we actually set our numbers, but I think Alpharetta did like 100,000 transactions, 100,000 orders.
Yeah, that's definitely right.
Cool.
Thanks so much for listening, y'all. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks.
Please.
Bye.
In Hollywood, you only have one shot.
People are like, did I click on the wrong video?
We're going to give you the top 3 ways to crush an audition.
Time to pack those bags.